My roommate wouldn't stop waking me up at 2 a.m. every single night. It started the first week Sarah moved in. I'd just drift into that deep, heavy sleep when I'd hear it. 3 soft knocks on my bedroom door, then her voice, quiet but insistent through the wood. Hey, did you remember to lock the front door? The first few times, I'd stumble out of bed, check the door, mumble that yes, it was locked, and drag myself back to my room. My alarm went off at 6 for my shift at the hospital, so every interruption carved another piece out of my already thin sleep. By week 2, the questions multiplied. Did you turn off the stove? I hadn't used the stove in 3 days. Did you check the windows in the living room? They were the same windows that had been closed since Tuesday. Did you see my note about the electrical outlet in the kitchen? There was no note. I started sleeping with earplugs, the industrial strength foam ones that construction workers use. But somehow, I'd still hear her. The knocks would vibrate through the wall we shared, persistent as a heartbeat. Week 3. I tried staying up later, hoping she'd be asleep by the time I went to bed. Didn't matter. 2:07 a.m., like clockwork, the knocking would start. Did you notice if the hallway light was flickering? Did you smell anything weird near the vents? The exhaustion started eating at me. I'd pour coffee into travel mugs with shaking hands, snap at patients who asked simple questions, nearly fall asleep during my lunch break in my car. My supervisor pulled me aside to ask if everything was okay at home. That's when something in me broke. It was a Thursday night, or technically Friday morning at 2:04 a.m. The knocks came right as I was finally sinking under. I threw my door open so hard it bounced off the wall. I'm getting like 4 hours of sleep because of your paranoia, I said, louder than I meant to. Sarah stood there in her oversized pajamas, holding a small flashlight, her face pale in the hallway. Hello, you need therapy or something. I can't do this anymore. She didn't argue, didn't explain, just nodded quietly, that flashlight still clutched in her hand, and walked back to her room. Her door closed with a soft click. That night, no knock. Finally, blessed silence. I fell asleep almost immediately, sinking into that velvet dark nothing I'd been craving for weeks. I woke up choking. My room was wrong. The air was thick, hard to pull into my lungs. It took my brain several confused seconds to understand that the darkness wasn't normal darkness. It was smoke, dense and acrid, filling my room like something alive. The building's fire alarm was screaming, had probably been screaming for a while. How had I not heard it? The earplugs. I'd left in the damn earplugs. I stumbled to my door, ripped it open. The hallway was worse. Black smoke rolled along the ceiling, so thick I couldn't see 3 feet ahead. The heat hit my face like opening an oven. My eyes immediately started streaming. Then I heard Sarah yelling my name from somewhere in that churning darkness. I couldn't see her, could barely breathe, but I felt her hand lock around my arm with surprising strength. She pulled me hard to the left, away from where I thought the main stairs were. There's an exit, she shouted over the alarm. Emergency stairs. This way. I had no choice but to trust her. We moved through the smoke, her grip never loosening. She navigated like she could see through it, making sharp turns I didn't expect. My lungs were burning. Each breath felt like swallowing glass. Then suddenly, cool air. We burst through a door I'd never noticed before, tucked at the end of the hallway behind the water fountain. Emergency stairs, metal and cold, leading down to a side exit that opened onto the alley. We stumbled out onto the sidewalk just as flames started breaking through the 3rd floor windows. The unit below mine, I'd later learn, faulty wiring that had been smoldering for weeks. While we sat on the curb, both of us coughing and shaking, Sarah quietly said she'd been smelling something burning for a month. Couldn't figure out where it was coming from, couldn't convince the landlord to check. So she'd been mapping every exit route, checking every safety feature, making sure I knew the escape plan even if I didn't realize I was learning it. Those questions. Did you check the windows? She'd been teaching me they were painted shut. Did you see the note about the outlet? Trying to warn me something was wrong with the wiring. Did you smell anything near the vents? The smoke had been traveling through the building's ventilation for weeks. 17 people lived in that building. Only Sarah and I made it out without injuries. Everyone else had to be rescued from windows or treated for smoke inhalation. The fire inspector said that hallway exit was the only safe route out that night, and most residents didn't even know it was there.